Welcome, my dear children. How are you all? Yes, I hope that you all are safe, fine, and fit at your home. So, today we are here to continue what we were discussing in the previous recorded lesson. I hope you all know and not forgot that we were discussing regarding chapter 8, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. So, this is a beautiful chapter and where Watson and Sherlock plays a major role, and this is a chapter which is written by Sir Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle. He is a writer of the chapters. Once let us quickly recall it. So in the previous class we have already learnt that the Watson and Sherlock were discussing regarding a stick, and upon the stick where the CCH, the initial CCH was marked, and they were discussing regarding that particular stick, and Watson says his view regarding the stick, but finally Sherlock says that whatever the Watson has said is wrong, wrong to some extent, and Sherlock says so this is what had happened. And even in the previous recorded lesson we have seen that the full form of CCH is Charing Cross Hospital. So it was a name of hospital. So this is what briefly I have said you regarding what we have learnt in the previous class, because we are not having much time once again to recall. That's why let us move forward. So in the previous class we have stopped for the full form of CCH, as I had said you before. So do none suggest themselves, you know my method, apply them. This was a statement which is said by Sherlock to Watson. So I think that we might venture a little farther than this. Look at it in this light. On what occasion would it be more probable that such a presentation would be done? So they says that obviously at the moment when Dr. Mortimer withdraw from the service of the hospital in order to start a practice of himself. Right, I hope we have stopped here. So in what occasion these kinds of gift will be given to the doctor? Then the Watson says that probably when the service has been withdrawn, when the doctor has been stopped the service, at that particular time the gift like this has been given to him. You will also agree that he could not have been on the staff of the hospital, since only a man well established in a London practice could hold such a position, and such a one would not drift into the country. So now Sherlock is again saying that yes, you will also agree it, right? You will also agree it that it was gifted in this particular situation. Then he is a man who is well established in London. He is a man who is well established in London, and he is holding such a good position. And one would not drift is import. One would not drift into the country. If he was in the hospital and yet not on the staff, so he is already withdrawn from the service, then he is in the hospital, he is giving his service, but he is not the staff now. Then what was he then? Now the service has been withdrawn and the gift has been presented. That means that the service has been withdrawn, he is not the staff. Then what is he in the hospital now? He could only have been a house surgeon, little more than a senior student. So they are saying now, so what is he now? Then he may be the house surgeon. House surgeon means A doctor who is senior and he is attached to that particular institution or any hospital, okay, that is house surgeon. So he may be a house surgeon who is attached towards that particular hospital little more than the senior students, little more. So he is a well known one and he is having his own status in the hospital, so he is more than the senior students there, okay. And he left 5 years ago. So how many years ago? Back of 5 years. So 5 years ago, before itself he has left that particular institution, that particular hospital. The date is on the stick, okay. So when the doctor has been withdrawn, the gift stick has been given, right? And in that particular stick, even the initial CCH and even the date has been mentioned. And if you go according to the date, he has been left 5 years ago itself, okay, 5 years back itself he has left that particular institution. So, you grave middle-aged family practitioner vanished into thin air, my dear Watson. So, he is saying, yes, you are right, Watson. He has been left 5 years back itself. So, he is a middle-aged family, okay. So, he is middle-aged and middle family members. So, middle-class family members, and he has left his practitioners, okay. He has vanished it in a thin air. Thin air means in a meanwhile, in a short period of a time. And there emerges a young fellow under 30, amiable, unambitious, absent-minded, and the professor of the favorite dog. So, who is that? He is an emerges. That's why he is an fellow, he is an member who is under 30. What is his age now? So he is not more. He may be senior, but what is his age? He is under age of 30 and he is unamiable. Unamiable means he is not having any aim, because in that particular aim they will not withdraw the service, right? It is not the time to withdraw the service from any institution or from any work. So now he has withdrawn the service in that particular age means, so he is a unamiable, unambitious, absent-minded person, okay. He is an absent-minded person. When this is said by the Sherlock, Watson laughed. I laughed incredulously as Sherlock Holmes leaned back in his seat. So Watson started to laugh because he was unable to believe, and Sherlock, who leaned back in his seat. By seeing the reaction of Watson, Sherlock says that, as to the later part, I have no means of checking you, said I. Here I is nothing but Sherlock, but at least it is not difficult to find out a few particulars about the man's age and professional career. So he says that it is not difficult to find out regarding the individual's age and his profession. From my medical shelf, I took down the medical directory and turned up the names. So he took a book which is related to the medical and just he turned up the names. He was watching the names list there. There were several Mortimers, but only one who could be our visitor. I read this record aloud. So in that particular medical book, there were several Mortimers, but all those several Mortimers will not become their visitor. So there is only a one visitor. So he is reading the book loudly. Mortimer James, MRCS, 1882, Grimpen, Dartmoor, Devon. House surgeon from 1882 to 1884 at Charing Cross Hospital, medical officer for our parishes of Grimpen, Thorsley and High Barrow. So this is information which is collected by Sherlock. So he has collected the information and he is from Grimpen, so that is a place in England, and he is an house surgeon who was serving from 1882 to 1884 in CCH hospital, and he is also a medical officer who is an expert in the England. And Thorsley Highbrow, it is a place in England. Okay, he is an expert in those particular places. Our country doctor, as you very astutely observed, I think that I am fairly justified in my inferences. So he is a country doctor, as I have cleanly observed. So I think that my thinking, my opinion is giving us some sort of justification as to the adjectives. For example, I said, who said? Sherlock says, if I remember right, and if I am right, if my memory is good, amiable, unambitious and absent-minded. So previously he said amiable, unambitious and absent-minded person he is. Why? Now he says why he said so. It is my experience that it is only an amiable man in this world who receives testimonials. Amiable means pleasantly, friendly. Okay, so only those kind of person will have the quality of someone. Okay, will have the qualities of others, will have the qualities and will receive the good qualities from the other. Only an unambitious one who abandons a London career for the country. Okay, means only a one unambitious, who are not having any ambition in life, who will leave the job in the middle, who will work only for few time in the London career. Okay, and only an absent-minded who leaves his stick and not his visiting card after waiting an hour in your room. So only the absent-minded can leave the stick there itself, and even after waiting for an hour in your room, he has not kept the visiting card. So this is what the experience of Sherlock has been in the habit of carrying this stick behind his master. Being a heavy stick, the dog had led it tightly by the middle, and the mark of his teeth are very plainly visible. So he is having the habit of carrying the stick. Okay, so he is a master of that, and by carrying this heavy stick, the dog has been bited, it has been holded tightly in the middle of the stick, and the mark of the teeth is correctly visible. Okay, it is plainly visible. The dog's jaw, as shown in the space between these marks, is too broad in my opinion for a terrier and not broad enough for a mastiff. Okay, so it is plainly visible, and we can see the mark of dog which is bited, and it is a breed of small. Which dog it is? It is a small breed dog, and it is an active dog and strong dog with the short hair. Okay, so he is saying how that dog is. It may have been, yes, by Joe, it is an curly haired spaniel So it is a one kind of dog he is saying about. By listening to the words of Sherlock, now the Watson says that he has raised and placed the room as he spoke. Now he halted in the recess of the window. There was such a ring of convocation in his voice, and then that I glanced up in surprise. So what happened? So he has stopped while he is speaking. He had stopped moving that side and this side. So he is standing in one particular place near the window, and his voice is having a faith and confidence. He is having faith. His voice, his talk, his speech is having faith and confidence. And Watson, I glanced up in surprise. So he is looking up in surprise, and Watson asked, "My dear fellow, how can you possibly be so sure of that?" So he is asking, how can you say that it is exactly, and how can you be so sure of that particular thing? So now Sherlock replies that, for the very simple reason that I see the dog himself on our very doorstep. Okay, so how I was able to say that? Because I saw that particular door. Where he saw? Near the doorstep. Okay, near the doorstep I have seen the dog, and there is a ring of its owner. Okay, and dog is having a ring of its owner. Don't move, I beg you, Watson. Now Sherlock is saying to Watson, don't go to move, I will beg you. Why? He is a professional brother of yours. So he is an professional brother of yours, and your presence may be of assistance to me. You have to be here because your presence will help me. Now is the dramatic moment of fate. So this is a dramatic moment, okay, of what? Of fate, okay. And Watson, when you hear the step upon the stair which is walking into your life, and you know not whether for good or ill. So whatever is happening in the life, whatever is going through the life, we don't know whether it's for good or bad. Okay, what does Dr. James Mortimer, the man of science, ask for Sherlock Holmes, the specialist in crime, came in? So while they are discussing, what does Dr. James Mortimer? So when they are speaking about the man of science ask of Sherlock Holmes, the specialist in crime, came in. That means now James Mortimer itself, Dr. James Mortimer itself came inside. Okay, Holmes, it's excited. He had just seen the dog at the front door. He asked Watson to stay, and they both wait for Dr. Mortimer to come up. Now the Holmes, that is Sherlock, is more excited, and he had just seen the dog at the front door, and even Watson wanted to see that, and he asked Watson to stay, and he asked Watson to stay in that particular room itself because Dr. Mortimer is coming. And how is he? Our visitor, Sherlock says now, our visitor was a very tall, thin man with a long nose like a beak. Okay, so he was very tall, very thin, and he was having a long nose, and it was like a beak, okay, which jutted out between two knees, grey eye set closely together and sparkling brightly from behind a pair of gold rimmed glasses. So he is having grey eye, who is wearing gold rimmed glasses. Okay, he was clad in a profession, he was good in a profession, he was very senior in a profession, but rather slovenly, fashion, means untidy. He is untidy and he is a dirty man. Okay, he is not clean by himself itself. For his frock coat widenly and his trouser faded, means dirty. It was dirty and his trouser was very loose. So this is how the Sherlock has been said regarding the visitor, that is Dr. Mortimer. Though he was young, the doctor was young, his long back was already bowed, means he was already bent. Okay, he is already bowed, and he walked with the forward thrust of his head and a general air of peering benevolence, means he was very kind and very helpful, but he was not tidy. Okay, he was a untidy person. And as he entered the room, his eyes fell upon the stick in Holmes' hand. So the doctor, as he is entering the room, the doctor's eyes fell on the stick which was in the Holmes' hand, and he ran towards it with an excitement of joy. Okay, so he ran towards that with happiness, with more excitement of joy, exclamation of joy. I am very happy. So I am so very glad. I am so very glad means I am so happy, said he, that is the doctor. I was not sure whether I had left it here or in the shipping office. Doctor says now, I was not knowing where I had been left this particular stick, whether it is here or in the shipping office. I would not lose that stick for a world. So I am not ready to lose this particular stick. Anything may happen. A presentation I see, said Holmes. So Holmes is asking now whether it is a presentation. Doctor said, yes sir, from the hospital. Which hospital? ICSE Hospital. From one or two friends there on the occasion of my marriage. So it was gifted on his marriage. Okay, on the marriage, one or two friend gifted this particular stick. Dear, that's bad, said Holmes, shaking his head. So Holmes is replying that that's so bad. Dr. Mortimer blinked through his glasses in mild astonishment. Why was it bad? So he says he is confused now and he is also surprised. Why it is bad? Why did you say so? Now the Sherlock says that only that you have disarranged our little deductions. Your marriage, you say. So he is saying because we had thought something else, but you say that this stick was presented to you on your marriage. Hence doctor replies, yes sir, I married. So I left the hospital, and with it all hopes of consulting practice, it was necessary to make a home of my own. So I have married now. It was necessary to make a home. Hence for the practice also I have left the job. Come, we are not so far wrong after all, said Holmes. So now Holmes is saying that okay, it's okay. We are not so much of wrong. Okay, what we have thought, we are not so much of wrong, said Holmes. Now the doctor asked, I presume that it is Mr. Sherlock Holmes whom I am addressing and not. No, this is my friend Dr. Watson. So he is clarifying whether this is Sherlock Holmes or not. So he is speaking to Watson, who is a friend of Sherlock. Glad to meet you, sir. So doctor says to Watson, glad to meet you, sir. I have heard your name mentioned in connection with that of your friend, This is said by Watson. So he also wishes again, glad to meet you, sir. So I have heard your name in connection with my friend. Okay, so Sherlock waved our strange visitor in chair. So Sherlock, who is sitting in a chair and he is weaving, okay, he is seeing properly the doctor. I presume, sir, said he at last, that it was not merely for the purpose of examining my skull that you have done me the honor to call here last night and again today. So he says that you had called me last night and again today, so I have came here. No, sir, no, though I am happy to have had an opportunity of doing that as well. I came to you, Mr. Holmes, because I recognized that I am myself an unpractical man, and because I am suddenly confronted with the most serious and extraordinary problem. As a practical man of affair, it is acknowledged that you stand alone. Now the Mortimer is saying, sir, I am unpractical man. Okay, I am a man who is unpractical. Okay, that means I am a theoretical man, and I am feeling very happy because you are a man who stand alone in all kind of problems. Okay, you are a man who always stand alone in all kind of problem. I am feeling happy. When Dr. Mortimer was talking, Sherlock interrupted, so he talked in the middle. You would do wisely if without more ado you would tell me plainly what the exact nature of the problem is in which you demand my assistance. So Mortimer also says that he has came through some serious and extraordinary problem. So Sherlock is saying that if you say me properly what is the nature of problem, okay, then I will give you my assistance regarding that particular problem. So this is what in this particular chapter, my dear child. So I hope you all have understood what we have discussed till now. So this is a chapter who is discussing regarding the stick itself, and finally that stick belongs to the Dr. Mortimer. So how all the Sherlock things, how all a detective thing regarding one particular things, okay, their thinkings go beyond. Okay, so this is what in this particular chapter. I hope you all have understood. Once read the chapter. If you read only once, you may not be able to understand. So read it 2 times or 3 times so that you will understand clearly. If you are having any doubt regarding the chapter, you can message me through school app and I will be able to clarify your doubt. So I hope that all the students have understood, and the notes will be given to you. So write the notes after giving and send it for correction. So next we shall see in the next recorded lesson. Until that, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.